I'm really happy to be here to share this panel, but also before I want to join others to congratulate the Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice, but personally to congratulate Uncle Madi. Within the civil society space, all of us, especially the younger ones, we call Madi, Uncle Nyundu, Uncle Sal, all these uncles, because we've been a generation. And the aunties, yes, Auntie Yadi, Auntie Tabu, and Auntie Nene, even though sometimes she doesn't want it. But we have that, and I think for me this is the essence of what the Edward Francis Small Center wants to do. How do we not only continue a legacy of a pioneer, of a historical figure, but also to ensure that his legacy, because what he was fighting for today is what shaped this country, whether we know it, accept it, or not, basically it is what it is. He is not a pioneer. When it comes to all civil society organizations today, we can trace our ancestry to the work that he was doing. When it comes to the trade unions, whether dormant or not, we can go back to there. When it comes to the media, the same. The very foundation of our society, we can say Edward Francis Small was there when it was not popular, when it was not conducive, when conditions were difficult. Today, our generation, we have the internet. I sit in my community, I sit in my house, I have the internet. I am communicating and engaging, but at that time, let us imagine and how he was able to deliver on these issues. So for the uncles and aunties, thank you for raising us, and also for not only raising us, but continuing the legacy, because all of mine, wasa bahay borom, dune nakala, wanyusa, so today I'm given a topic to talk about in terms of democratic backsliding, and sometimes I debate this a lot with Madi. I mean, whether the country is really backsliding democratically, when we talk about this issue. And why I'm saying this is because given the fact that we are coming from 2 decades of dictatorship, but an incomplete state building process, so a lot of issues are incomplete. It's not the fact that there was no lack of interest or agreement in terms of changing from a dictatorial setup to a democratic setup. But of course, along the period, there's been a lot of missing links. And for me, I think in terms of discussing this issue, it's not about the hollowing of the democratic space. Yes, there's a constitution, elections are happening, but also what the quality of these elections also are things that we need to also discuss within this context. So for me, based on our surveys from Afrobarometer, from all those things, when you ask citizens, people feel like this country is moving, the democratic trajectory of this country is progressing. They want a democratic society. They entirely agree on that basis. We want a democratic society. We want term limits. We want elections. We want constitution. We want new constitution. But what is the problem? The society, the state, we have not been able to deliver on all these different goods. Today we talk about the issue of term limit. And for me, it's a very personal issue, because from the 2016 discussion, term ending self-perpetuating rule was a very clarion call of the issues. But today it is creating some discussion when it comes to whether our democracy is moving forward or going backward. So term limit is a very critical issue that has to be part of it. Of course, this is where I was talking about the missing link. We agree on the term limits, we agree on the need for new constitution, but as a society, we have not been able to deliver a constitution. Yeah? We have not been able to deliver a constitution. And then when you touch here, NPP will blame UDP, UDP blame NPP, and for all of us, the citizens, we just sit there and then we wait on what needs to be delivered. So for me, these are the issues that can undermine the democratic trajectory. If we don't deliver a constitution that we know will serve as the foundation of our society, then there's a problem for that. So there's agreement, delivery, another problem. And this year we're also going to election. And that is just to make my intervention very short, because these are all issues that we are also aware of. What should be the role? Auntie Hannah mentioned that, the role of civil society, and Professor Sen also highlighted how citizens' agency need to be there. And this morning I was also listening to Uncle Sally, was criticizing us as civil society, that sometimes we are very reactive in terms of the way we engage with our democratic processes. So in ensuring that there is no backsliding, it means currently the new electoral reforms that are ongoing, or the new act that has been established, how do we understand it? How do we translate it into something that is meaningful for the population to understand that? But lastly, also, we are going into election, And this time, I've been paying attention to that. Previously, we had the electoral cycle that was going around for what, 3 years? We say 2023 to 27, but this time it's almost going to be 2 years. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on all of us. Because all of these elections, presidential elections, parliamentary elections, and even the local government mayoral elections will all be held within the period of 7 months, from December 2026 to almost April 27, if you look at the IEC, IEC new calendar. So what does this mean for us? Is less timeline, more pressure? Is our electoral process adequate enough to address these issues? So sometimes it's not just the complaint of this is not happening, this is not happening, but sometimes a lot of things are happening. But of course, the structural setups that we have in this country, that Edward Francis Small was trying to fight, is still present. And sometimes it makes the state not able to deliver what it is supposed to deliver. But if democracy is our collective agreement, then in delivering that democracy collectively must also be a collective drive. It's not about the state alone. It must be us, the agency, the middle group that Prof mentioned, are the ones that need to drive that agenda. And how do we drive that agenda? Being in the driving seat, but also paying attention to all these issues that are happening. So in conclusion, I want to say that today, I always say to my students that we live today because some people did the struggle that we live today to do. And our duty and responsibility, as we are talking about democratic backsliding, we're talking about consolidating democracy, the missing gaps that exist within our own framework, we always need to think about tomorrow. I talk about the aunties in the civil society. I can go back into the academic field and then talk about the professors, Professor Sen, and all those, and how they help prepare the next generation. And for me to prevent democratic backsliding, we must invest in the young people. I'm happy Jabu is also here. We must invest in the young people, but we not invest only in the youths in terms of participatory approach, but in terms of their knowledge, but also in their capacity. For me, these are the only ways that we can help consolidate our democratic progress, but also to always remember that democracy was the foundation of the state. In the 60s, I'm still young, but when I read the materials, that was the argument. That at some point they were talking about joining Senegal, but you hear some people, Senegal was not democratic, we were democratic. You can find that. But why democratic was the foundation of the state for me, I think is still, that's why when Jammeh came in, there were a lot of struggle to fight to restore the country into a democratic society. And so we must maintain that, we must continue, we must build that momentum, and we must learn from history, from the people that have been there. And for me, as young people, these are the ways that we can build our society moving forward. Thank you.